Hi, welcome to my May wrap-up. This is going to be a quick one because in May I only read 3 books. I was hoping to read more after I read 12 books in April, but it just didn't happen, and I will explain why once I've told you about the books that I did manage to finish. The first book I finished reading in May was Educated by Tara Westover. I haven't actually read this copy yet, but I read a proof copy that I got from NetGalley, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of an odd book to say that I enjoyed because a lot of it is quite harrowing and difficult to read. It's about the author's life growing up as a Mormon survivalist, really cut off from the world. She didn't go to school, she wasn't really properly homeschooled, so she learnt very little. But she managed to get into university and then ended up doing a PhD at Cambridge. So I went into this judging from the title that it was going to mostly be about education, how she educated herself and then went to university, but actually it's mostly about her childhood. The bulk of the book is taken up with kind of background info and explaining what she went through and what her family were like. And although I was disappointed at first to discover that this was going to take up so much of the book, it was actually really easy to read and it was very quick to get through. She's chosen to put only those scenes in the book that which really tell you something about her family, about her journey through life. And also because there are some quite dramatic incidents, it becomes quite page-turning and thrillerish in places. And I honestly couldn't put it down. So although I was surprised to discover it wasn't so much about the education part of her life as I thought it was going to be, I did still really like it and I would recommend it. If you're not the kind of person who normally reads a memoir, then this might be a good one for you to check out because, as I said, it is quite a page-turner. The next book I finished was Moral Disorder by Margaret Atwood, which I listened to on audiobook. I started listening to this during Jury's readathon in April, and I've said before that I struggle with Margaret Atwood books. I don't find them particularly compelling, and so I was wondering if I should just stop trying to read her books, even though lots of them have really interesting sounding premises and I would like to read them. So I decided to listen to this one on audiobook because I thought maybe I'd like it more, maybe I'd find it easier to get into, etc. And I did find it a lot easier to keep up with and follow, and I didn't find it such a drain as I'd found reading her books in print, which was really good. However, I just don't think I really loved this one. This is actually a collection of short stories that are connected, but I couldn't really work out what the connection was. I did think that they were supposed to be building towards some kind of narrative, and that maybe some of the stories at the start would be kind of referenced in the stories at the end. But although they were connected, it didn't really seem to build to anything, and so I was a bit disappointed by that. But because I did find it easy to follow along with and didn't find it a drag, I will try listening to more of Margaret Atwood's books on audiobook in future. So it wasn't a complete fail for me, although I didn't particularly like this one. Finally, the last book I finished was another audiobook, and that was Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. I loved this book so much. Just everything about it was just wonderful. It ticked so many of my boxes. It's a fantasy novel that I think came out in 2012. Quite a lot of people read it and raved about it at the time. It's about a girl who is, well, especially she's a young woman really. It's unclear how old she is, but she's just got a job as the music master's assistant at the castle, and she works for the royal family essentially, and they're about to celebrate 40 years of the signing of a treaty between humans and dragons, and she has a deep dark secret, which is that she is half dragon herself. It's becoming more of a problem for her because she has these strange abilities that are beginning to manifest, and she has these memories that were left to her by her mother. She can literally kind of go into her mother's memory flashbacks and see things how her mother saw them at the time and hear her mother's thoughts. And yeah, so she has a lot going on. She's got this dark secret, and then she discovers a conspiracy is happening, and it was just wonderful. I loved following along with the mystery, and I just loved all the characters. All the good guys are just so pure and so wonderful, and I just adored them. Even the characters who might, under the hands of another author, have been kind of annoying, were just delightful. And yeah, I really, really loved this book. And I'm looking forward to listening to the sequel, which I can also get an audiobook from the library. I have seen from reviews that a lot of people didn't think it was as good as the first book. And I think that's to be expected, really. But I'm hoping this is a series that's going to run, and hopefully it's at least a trilogy, because the world, I just love the world building. It's so interesting. The kingdoms, or the queendom, I guess, because it's always ruled by a queen, it's just so richly drawn, and the city and the politics and the treaty with the dragons, and the dragons themselves are fascinating. They're really logical, rational creatures who are really opposed to feeling the emotions of humans. They can transform into humans, and then they think and feel like a human and not like a dragon, and this is really something they're really against officially, and it just causes all these problems, and it's wonderful. I really, really enjoyed this book. So if you watched my last month's TBR video, you will have heard me mention that I am reading Blood and Sand by C.V. Wick. Now, I started this during Jury's Readathon, and I think about halfway through at the start of the month, and I haven't moved on very far, and that is just due to the simple fact that it is a hardback. And I've resolved now that if I'm not going to be spending a lot of time at home, and I don't have time to finish the hardback within, the periods I start reading it, so, if I start reading it at the weekend and I don't have time to finish it by the end, I'm just not going to do it. I am going to pick a paperback instead, because I really, really, really was enjoying this when I started reading it. But because I can't carry it around with me all the time, it's kind of become a bit of a burden. Not because it's bad, but because I have to go back and read a few pages just to remind myself of where I'd got to, and that's a bit annoying. I'd rather just dive in and keep going. And yeah, so I really, really want to finish this, and I've got to carve out some time to do it, but I don't know when. So yeah, that's a shame, but I think I've just got to accept that I cannot just start a hardback at the end of a readathon and think I will realistically finish it within the next month. Just no, not when I have all these books. And the thing is, because I had this paper book on the go, I didn't want to start another paper book. So I've just been reading ebooks, and I haven't managed to finish anything else either, apart from audiobooks. And Educated, which I had an ebook. So that's the end of my May wrap-up video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like to read more books, but don't know where to start, or you would just like a little bit of inspiration to get you out of a reading slump, check out my free e-course, which is linked in the description. Thank you once again. You'll see me soon. Bye!